Welcome back, Clark here again from the Outdoor University. Today we are going to be talking about tent setup basics. So for those of you that are new to tent camping and not sure how to go about setting up your tent when you get to your campsite, that is the video for you. First of all, we want to look at ground. Where do we want to put the tent? Here we've chosen a nice flat spot, relatively in the middle of the campground. A little bit of shade above us there, but no major sticks, boulders, those kind of things that might poke through the bottom. Step one is you want to lay out some kind of tarp underneath your tent. Some tents will come with tarps. Others you might just buy a tarp from your home improvement store. It's going to help keep moisture from seeping through the bottom of your tent, and it's also going to help keep the bottom of your tent clean so that you will spend less time washing your tent at the end of the season. Next up, we lay the tent out with the two poles that come with it. This is kind of a standard cross pole two-person tent from Mountainsmith. It's an 8-year-old tent that still works great. Got a little damage to it, but it's working just fine. We're going to see just me setting it by myself. It's a little bit of a trick, but definitely possible. Much easier with two people. We're going to place our two tent poles fully assembled into the corner pockets where they go, and this tent's color coded, so it makes it easier to see what goes where, even though everything's pretty interchangeable. We'll clip up the outsides of the tent, and you can see just like that we have a functional tent setup with a tarp underneath it. Now you have to do things like put down stakes, put up a rain fly, but first off I like getting the tent set up like so, making sure I like the position. And then actually after this step, I'm going to get inside and I'm going to set up the bedding, the sleeping bag, all of that stuff next. Once that is all done, we're going to come back here and we're going to stake down the tent and put up the rain fly. Why I like to do the bedding first is so then I can double check to make sure that the ground's level, first of all. You don't want to sleep on unlevel ground that's awkward and uncomfortable. And that there's no major rocks or sticks poking up through the bottom that might be an issue for you. So with the bedding all in, I feel good about my spot here, and I'm going to stake down the four corners of the tent through the provided loops. Notice I'm just using the backside of my little camp hatchet there as a hammer. That works perfectly fine. No need to bring multiple different tools to get this job done. And even though it's going to be a great day outside here today, we're going to go ahead and put the rain fly on. I always put the rain fly on right away. Helps with dew at night, and then also I'm a little bit paranoid, but once all of your stuff gets wet, tent camping, it's wet the entire time you're there. You do not have a great way to dry anything off, and so might as well be extra cautious. Get that rain fly on to keep your sleeping bag and pillow and those kinds of things dry. Because like I said, once those things get wet, you don't have a way when you're out in the woods to dry them out. Now here I'm staking down the outsides of the rain fly. Those are going to be the doorways of the tent. And then the rest of the stakes go in keeping the rain fly tight. If you'll notice with rain flies, they're waterproof, but if their sides are sticking to the inside of the tent, then water can still wick through. And so by pulling these things as tight as we can and stretching them out, that means water is going to bead off the outside and then just simply drip down. Now you'll see here not just with the tent itself, but on the sides, there's going to be these ropes, these guy wires. As you're putting those guy wires out, you want to stretch those as far as you can and make that connection as tight as you can. Once again, ensuring that rain's going to hit and simply wick out. I've taken this tent through conditions that I probably shouldn't have camped in, thunderstorms, flash flood warnings, those kinds of things, and have yet to have rain on the inside of it. But it is going to be a nice day out here. And while I'm at the lake, I don't want my tent to be baking in the sun completely, so I'm going to leave the two doors open to make sure that there's a little bit of breeze going through, and it's nice and cool. And there you have it, some tent setup basics for your first time out in the woods tent camping.